Welcome. We are in session 37 of the course. In today's lecture, in the segment on vocabulary, I want to discuss with you two things which have been already introduced a little obliquely through the word trees. From one root word, when you try to derive a large number of words in a tree, then essentially you add suffixes and prefixes, and sometimes beyond that you connect that with other words. Okay. But the primary way of modifying words is through suffixes and prefixes. So, they operate differently and give different kinds of changes on the meaning of the word. As you already know, suffix typically adds on the right side, that is at the end of the word, and it typically changes one kind of word to another kind of word, okay, among noun, adjective, verb, adverb, and so on. So, here I have composed a small collection of suffixes in order to trigger the reaction in your mind, from which I expect you to be more conscious, more alive to the idea of looking at a word and identifying its suffix, and then do two things: by changing the suffix or by putting more suffixes, what other words you can derive, and when you put the same suffix on other words, then how those words give rise to new further words. So, this is one suffix C or AC, okay, and the result of the addition of this suffix is typically the formation of a noun, showing action or quality or state, position, etc. Okay. Examples: privacy, adequacy, intimacy, supremacy. These are all quite well known words, but similarly you can also combine and derive and figure out some less well known words also, and that is the advantage. Okay. In place of CY or ACY, if you have TE or ATE, then the corresponding adjectives you find: private, adequate, intimate, and so on. Okay. TE, ATE also add at the end of a word to give rise to verbs like imitate, meditate, officiate, and so on. Sometimes it joins with an I before that. Okay. And there is age. So, the result is noun: courage, coinage, shrinkage, tonnage. So, you know, courage is actually connected, actually derived from cor, which is the Latin root, has come through French to English, and it means heart. So, your courage and your cordiality have the same root. Okay. It has a cardiac root. Okay. Al joining typically gives rise to noun or adjective. Okay. Examples of al giving noun is are referral, avowal, disavowal, disposal, festival, and so on. The resulting word may be adjective in other cases, like structural, territorial, categorical. So, there al may come simply as al or el or equal. Okay. Category, categorical. Then a number of related suffixes: ans, nc, ens, nc. This typically gives rise to nouns: resistance, dependence, extravagance, vacancy, agency, potency, and so on. And the corresponding adjective forms you will get with ant or ent. Okay. Important, dependent, malignant. Okay. Eyes or eyes, both are same actually: eyes, eyes, IAC, IZE. This typically gives rise to verbs. Okay. And lots of verbs get formed like this: energize, specialize, optimize, and in the case of many words of of this sort, the British spelling has eyes and the American spelling has eyes, Z. Okay. So, one needs to be careful about that, and sometimes the verb form uses S or Z and the noun form of the same thing uses C, and pronunciation is very close, but slightly different. Example, advise with S, verb, and advice with C, noun. Okay. Device. Okay. ION. Of course, we have seen this in a word club earlier. The result of this, when this comes after T or S or double S, then we have seen the shun club. Okay. Typical result is noun, but also used in the verb sense quite often. Okay. Not always, but quite often. Obsession, imitation, explosion. Okay. And their adjective forms you get with if. Okay. Defensive, qualitative, evasive, aggressive, and so on. Aggression, aggressive. Full is very common, but make note, it is not full. This is a common mistake. After putting the suffix full, people put an extra L, which is wrong. When full comes at the end as a suffix, then one L gets dropped. Okay? Hopeful, powerful, beautiful, and so on. Similarly, less, and the result is again adjective, helpless, meaningless, matchless. Hood is typical noun forming, abstract noun forming suffix, manhood, brotherhood, and so on. Ly typically gives you adverb, comes after adjective, gives you adverb. Beautiful, beautifully. But with ugly, you do not make uglily. Okay? That is not a word. So, equally, finally, specially. Okay? In these cases, it has in equal, it is adjective. Okay? Equal, adjective, final, adjective, special, adjective. So, equally, finally, specially. Okay? There are many others. I advise you, advise with S. Okay? I advise you to make an additional list of suffixes and what they give and some examples. And this list itself you can expand by putting more examples here. In every case you will get some more examples certainly, and in some cases you may get 20 to 30 more examples the moment you start trying. Okay? And of course, apart from these and others that you collect, there are those usual suffixes about which we did not spend much time, and they are the ones which have the basic conversion rules among nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs. Okay? Like S, ES for making plurals, ESS for making feminine, ER and EST for comparing adjectives and adverbs. Okay? More and most sense. Okay? Dear, dearest, dearer, dearest. Okay? Near, nearer, nearest. So, pretty, prettier, prettiest. And ER has another role that it does when it comes after a verb. So, it gives you the actor for an action. Okay? So, you have
borrower,
borrow, borrower, and then lend, lender, send, sender, okay? Receive, receiver, and so on. EN, ED typically for forming the third forms of verbs and third forms and second forms of also of verbs, and for forming second forms and third forms sometimes T also is used. Okay? And ING typical for fifth form, present participle. Okay? So, lots of suffixes are there in every language. Okay? In our languages also lots of suffixes are there, and in most of the languages suffixes give rise to an enormous amount of fertility to the words of the language. Okay? Another source of fertility is prefixes.
Sir,
Yes.
two questions like en at the end, that thing. I mean, sometimes we can get the first forms like strength, strengthen, length, lengthen, especially with
From noun to
to
verb.
verb.
Yes,
That is
yes,
one
yes, yes.
possibility.
En also
Yeah.
operates in order
As
to
a
give,
first form.
in order to give verbs
Give
to
verbs,
begin with.
generate verbs. Yeah.
Yes, that is not usual grammatical role. That is the typical role of a suffix. Yes, that in that sense, it could have been in this list. Yes,
And
certainly.
sir, another question: this defy, DEIFY.
Yes.
That's to make a god out of something or
Yes,
something.
yes, yes, yes.
That's the
In
defy.
this world, quite often the practice is that when some great people appear in scene, you first try to classify and vilify them, and when you don't succeed, then you crucify them, and after that you deify them. Okay. So in the syntax segment, we talk of complex sentences. Okay. Some examples which are a little complex compared to earlier cases. Okay. The first one is not very complex. I feel that I owe you a great many apologies for my abrupt departure yesterday, doctor. Doctor is of course address. Okay. I feel something. This is the sentence. Okay. This is the main clause, and that something is this subsidiary clause, and I feel what? That is this thing. Okay. And therefore, this is operating like an object. Okay. So it is a noun clause, because object, the task of an object is typically the task of a noun. Okay. So this is something that has the force of a noun. And what is that? That I owe you a great many apologies, and so on. Okay. So in this clause, the main skeletal part is I owe you. Okay. And what do I owe you? Apologies. That is the object. You also is object. So O has two objects. This is the indirect object. This is the direct object. So of course these things are coming as qualifiers to this. And for what? For my abrupt departure yesterday. For my departure. Abrupt and yesterday are qualifying that. Okay. Fine. Next, I saw in the gaslight that Holmes wore an amused smile at this brilliant departure of mine. I saw is the main sentence. What did I see? That object, noun clause is coming here. Okay. And of course, in the gaslight is the answer of where, operating as an adverb. Okay. And what did I see? That thing is the noun clause, and when you go inside that, you find that Holmes wore smile. Okay. So subject, verb, object. What kind of smile? An amused smile. Okay. And an adverb here at this brilliant departure of mine. Okay. So of mine qualifying departure, brilliant also qualifying departure, even this qualifying departure. Okay. So or at departure, or an amused smile at departure. When dependent clauses come in the sentence as noun clauses, they can operate either as the object or as the subject. Okay. Unfortunately, as a result of our decision to take all our illustrative examples from a particular story, we did not get a specimen of a sentence in which the noun clause is operating as a subject. Okay. So I will give you one or two examples. Okay. Typically, the starting point of such noun clauses operating as subject would be with that and also with a WH word. Okay. So that our country is the largest and most important neighbor is quite often forgotten in their calculations. That our country is the largest and most important neighbor, this whole thing is the subject of the sentence, is quite often forgotten in their calculations. Okay? WH word. Why this drastic step was necessary remained unanswered in the entire discussion. Why this drastic step was necessary remained unanswered during the entire discussion. So, some question remained unanswered during the entire discussion. What was that something? Why such a drastic action was necessary? Okay. So, that whole thing, or whether you people are doing all your assignments sincerely or not, is something which we will never know. Okay. So, here that whole thing, whether onwards, is one clause, noun clause, operating as a subject of the main clause of my sentence.
I mean, how he could remain silent is still beyond me. Here it is also.
Oh yes. How he could remain silent is still beyond me, or beyond my understanding, or beyond my imagination. Okay. So, in such situations, the entire clause is actually sitting as the subject, and quite often it happens in very stylish compositions that there is a huge clause, okay, and that is the subject, and then at the end of that there are just two words or one word which is the predicate, okay, which is the thing to be communicated. Okay. Fine. So, now an example of adjective clause. Here are 4 cigarettes that I picked out of the fireplace. We specially picked up this example because typically adjective clauses get connected to the main clause with where WH words, and that is the typical connector of a noun clause. Okay. But that is not necessary, that is not universal. Okay. That also connects adjective clauses. Okay. Here is an example. Here are 4 cigarettes. This much is obvious. This is a skeletal sentence. Which cigarettes? Which 4 cigarettes? That I picked out of the fireplace. Okay. So, this is actually qualifying or restricting the cigarettes. Okay. Not all cigarettes is being talked about. So, this is the adjective clause. Oh, this is complicated business. Glancing over the somewhat incoherent series of memoirs with which I have endeavored to illustrate a few of the mental peculiarities of my friend Mr. Sherlock Holmes, I have been struck by the difficulty which I have experienced in picking out examples which shall in every way answer my purpose. Okay?
I have been struck by the difficulty.
Oh yes, of course.
It's the skill. Yeah.
I have been struck. I have been struck. Okay, that is the main clause. Okay. Yes. So, more than half the sentence from here to here is actually a subsidiary phrase, not even clause. Okay. Glancing over something. Okay. This whole thing is phrase up to this point. Okay. I have been struck is the skeletal part of the main clause. By something, by the difficulty, which is a phrase. The phrase runs from this point onwards till the end of the sentence. So, I have been struck by something, okay, and that something is difficulty, and difficulty is qualified by this adjective phrase, adjective clause, to which we will come later. Glancing over the somewhat incoherent series, glancing over series of memoirs. In that phrase, another subsidiary clause, adjective clause, is coming, with which I have endeavored to illustrate peculiarities, a few of mental peculiarities, whose? Of my friend Mr. Sherlock Holmes. Okay? So, glancing over the somewhat incoherent series of memoirs qualified by this, the memoirs word qualified by this, I have been struck by the difficulty, and which difficulty? This is the kind of difficulty, okay, which I have experienced is the skeletal part of this clause, okay, and experienced in what context, where, when, okay. So, for that this is giving the adjective phrase. I have experienced in picking out, not adjective, adverb phrase, in picking out examples, okay, and examples are qualified by this other subsidiary clause, which shall answer my purpose, and answer how? In every way, okay. Shall answer is the verb, in every way is qualifying that, okay. It is the adverb, okay. So, this is the complete analysis of this sentence. The next sentence is also long, but not this long. You remember that some time ago, when I read you the passage in one of Poe's sketches, in which a close reasoner follows the unspoken thought of his companion, you were inclined to treat the matter as a mere tour de force of the author, okay. It is covered in within a single page. You remember something, that something is this entire thing, okay. That, and inside that the main clause is you were inclined to treat the matter, okay. So, you were inclined, object, to treat, okay. The matter, okay, this object word should be here actually, the matter is the object, okay. You were inclined to treat the matter, and adverb as a mere tour de force of the author, okay. So, this is the clause in which this also is there some little time ago, okay. So, the noun clause here, which is the thing remembered, okay, is that some little time ago you were inclined to treat the matter as a mere tour de force of the author. This is the phrase in which this is another smaller phrase, okay, qualifying tour de force. Mere also qualifies the same thing, okay. And this is another adverb. In fact, some little time ago is also an adverb to this, were inclined, okay. And another adverb to that is this, and that is a clause, and that itself has things, okay. When I read you the passage, in one of Poe's sketches, and sketches, not all of Poe's sketches, one of Poe's sketches of that kind, that particular one, in which adjective clause, a close reasoner follows the unspoken thought, adjective, subject word, together the subject, follows verb, thought, object, qualified by the unspoken, and thought is qualified by of his companion, okay. So, this is a complete parsing or analysis of this sentence. So, while interpreting, while trying to understand the sentence, you typically need to break it like this, okay. You need not necessarily write it down and break it with diagrams, but this is the mental process that is essential behind understanding a text, okay. So, today we have got some time in hand. So, I would like to share with you another important development that we made in English proficiency program a few months back. You know, before we get people in our courses or classes, people typically do not exactly know where their English stands, okay. And some people are there who know English well, out of whom there is a subset who knows that they know, and then there is another subset who do not know that they know. On the other side Of course, modesty is good. So, this segment does not concern us. On the other side, among those people who do not know good English, some of those know that and some others do not. Okay. This is a matter of concern, because if they do not know, then they will never try to improve. On the other hand, there are some people who know that their English is not ideal, but how good or how bad it is, they cannot quantify it, or they cannot place themselves in the context of others and try to figure out whether their English can be called adequate. Okay. So, quite often, I mean, recently we have started this practice that before offering a course, we try to judge the current level of the potential participants and tell them that this is your position. Okay. So, quite often people do not like to appear in tests and be told their proficiency level. Okay. So, we devised a system which is practical, and based on which we can actually classify in a non-intrusive private manner what is the English level of a person, okay, which he only knows, and it is up to him to share it or not with others. Okay. So, I am particularly telling this here because I know that there have been many colleges who have sent their students to this particular course en bloc. Okay. So, if those students who are attending this particular lecture, if they go and tell their principals that this is a good instrument to identify people who can be given a remedial English course, and not necessarily for the system, that is, that knowledge necessarily does not reside only with the system, that knowledge particularly stays with the students concerned, then those colleges can actually do a good job at identifying and targeting their audience when they try to organize such courses, such remedial courses. What we did, we made an announcement of test of English as a functional language, okay, TOEFL, TOEFL, test of English as a functional language. Okay. So, that settles very well with the current name of the course, PELT, practical English. Okay. So, practical or functional, it is similar. Okay. So, we opened with a dramatic statement: anybody above 17 years of age or below 70 years and below 70 years can appear in the test. Okay. So, above 70 we did not expect much utility, okay, and interest for that matter, though there are some people beyond 70 who retain a lot of vitality. Okay. Below 17, we felt that children are already in school and their process of development is going on in some framework already. Besides, the framework of our question set was a little mature, a little adult oriented. So, we did not expect the children below 17 to do a good job at it from the subject matter point of view, from the social understanding of things rather than their English level. Okay. So, their performance will be difficult to judge. Okay. If they falter at some places, we will not know whether they are faltering because of poor English or because of their less age and lack of maturity, because of which they cannot interpret a few things correctly. Okay. But similar tests can be designed for them also. Okay. So, we said that the result will tell you how good is your English, okay. And how a participant has to take the test. He has to turn up at the registration desk outside 2 halls. Okay. Those 2 halls are the exam centers or venues. So, the, do not mind the small letters, because you can go through the details later through the web, because this is going to stay in the diary file, diary site, and anyway the important things I am telling you right now. So, as he approaches the registration desk, he is given an answer sheet, okay, thin 4 pages, okay, and at the same time he is issued a 3 digit random number. Okay. So, for somebody it is 325, for somebody it is 752 and so on, and he only knows it, okay, we do not know, and that 3 digit number is, okay, we do not know is not the right statement, but nobody else knows, and we also typically do not remember unless we look up our database, okay, and we never had an opportunity or need to look up that. Okay. So, that 3 digit number is written at the top of that answer sheet. So, he goes and takes that, he takes that answer sheet and goes and takes a seat inside the hall, okay. And then when the crowd collects at the stipulated time, we give a 5-10 minutes briefing and then give a half an hour test. In that half an hour, as in blocks of 10 minutes or blocks of 15 minutes, the questions are displayed over the screen, okay, and they are asked to write the answers in their answer sheet. Okay. So, if the stipulated time of a particular question is 12 minutes, then 12 minutes that screen is kept there, and after that the next question comes and so on. So, after that the participant remembers what is his 3 digit code number, okay, and then after the grading of these answer sheets, after a week we announce the results. Okay. So, at the opening of the results, we tell them that we will give your grade in these letters A, B, C, D, E, F, and in our lexicon even above A there is a grade which is S. Okay. So, the meaning of S is powerful or beautiful, okay, and A is very good. A means the complete knowledge of English in the practical sense. Okay. In the functional language sense, in the functional English sense, A means complete knowledge, but there is something beyond complete. There are many people in our society whose English can be considered as good as was expected, but then beyond that there is some level which was not expected, which is unexpected. Okay. That is something which cannot be captured in such general tests. Okay. So, that is something, some beauty and some power over the language comes through a different source which cannot be learnt or taught. Okay. Perhaps it can be learnt to an extent, but not really taught. Okay. So, we keep that beyond, okay, and do not even claim that our grade will judge this properly. For that matter, many people having S grade will be judged as A, at least A. Okay. So, A is complete, very good, and our understanding is that these people can teach English well, okay, and we would be happy to get them in our group. Okay. Then beyond that, I mean after that, next there is a class of adequate English, whose English proficiency will be enough for their own professional purposes. Okay. And if they join as contributor in our program, then they can make some contributions, though typically it will be difficult for them to handle the entire course with themselves as at the leadership. Okay. And if these people join the course as participant, as student, then they will really enjoy with very little labor on their part, and they will still improve and possibly one day reach the level A. Okay. And if somebody with A level joins as a participant or student in the course, we expect him to join basically as a teacher trying to learn the teaching scheme, okay, because PELT or EPP course has 2 dimensions, one is learning and the other is teaching. Okay. Next is C, inadequate. This point onwards, we have people, these are majority C, D, E. Okay. So, which is inadequate, and we have a lot of concern for them, and we strongly advise them to take it up as a real issue and improve their English, possibly through our course, and EPP is well suited as a remedy for this level, okay, and below also to a good extent. But as you know, these people will make good improvement with very less effort. These people will make reasonable improvement with substantial effort, and these people will need a lot of effort in order to make some improvement, okay, and then that improvement will perhaps accumulate over time, okay, with their own efforts. The people with grade E cannot be called to know the language. All that you can say, E means exposure, okay. So they are just familiar with the language, okay. They cannot be said to know the language, okay. And for them, our course as it is will be difficult, and it will be necessary to start these people with our so called module 0, specifically designed for people in this category, okay. And F is of course beginners, okay. So children and socially disadvantaged people and so on. And of course, as absolute minimum there is a 0 level X who are to be taught ABCD properly, okay. So these are the typical grades that we have, and then after a week of the test we announce the results very openly in a website in this manner: code number, grade, okay. So the meaning of the grade is displayed openly, that is impersonal, so no loss of privacy, and this is just code number and grade. So everybody knows his grade and does not know the grade of anybody else, unless he has shared his code number with somebody else, okay. So that way we do not have any difficulty in keeping this result private. And then somebody who has code number 232 sees his grade C and silently decides that at the first opportunity he will try to improve his English, and then when friends ask him what grade you got, he says, I got A. I have no problem with, we have no problem with that, let him do that, okay. So we have no problem with that, okay. So I am sharing this information with you because for many administrators, principals and teachers, identifying the deficient people is a problem. That is one reason, okay. So this kind of a scenario, of course we are not sharing with you yet the typical kinds of questions that we will do at some later occasion, okay. So we wanted to give this idea, this information, that such a thing is possible to do in a neat manner, and not only that the idea should convince you, but we have done it and found that it is certainly doable, okay. So this is one reason why I am sharing with you. Second reason pertains to future. I am also thinking, and we have been discussing in our group, that next time when we offer a course, we will certainly try to organize a TOEFL before that, and if not the course, at least the test we will try to conduct online, and at that time after a month or two we might write to you again, okay. So today at this point I am going to stop, and we will meet again in session 38. Thank you.